this morning is a few things, and give an overview of the schedule, so you'll know kind of what's happening, and then just some details in terms of information that'll be important for you. I have, I'll hand this out. If you didn't copy this off, you want a hard copy of the list. And Thomas, I'm going to have you help with gear stuff since Mark isn't here.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. So, and you prep my and all that. So, real quick, here's the schedule. I think everybody in this room at least is going out on Thursday morning, except for you're doing the Wednesday trip. Thursday morning, anybody not doing Thursday? You're going Thursday.
I'm Thursday.
Yeah. You're maybe on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I'll say this: if you want to go out a day early, it's likely that there'll be a spot for you. We're still figuring it out.
I know Kim Grubbs, we talked about going out maybe on Wednesday too.
Oh, okay. So if you're interested, talk to me and I'll connect you. By the way, so here's the deal. Thursday morning, we meet here at 6 a.m. 6 bells. That means you guys have to get up early and drive all the way from your door. But 6 o'clock, we will be, and we'll hit the road, and drive out, and then we're there, camp Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Hike on Friday and Saturday. So, and then come back Sunday.
Now, do we leave at 6 o'clock or do we get here?
We're going to meet at 6.
Okay.
We'll leave when we get everybody in their cars.
My vehicle might be leaving at 6. I'll just tell you, I'm interested in being first at the mountain.
Yes. So just
I'm
know
not
at 6.
competitive.
We'll be back on Sunday night around 9:30. So that's the bracket of the schedule. And the only thing you'll need to know, just we'll provide food, and we'll talk about shelter or how or the tents and everything. Call them houses, but places to stay. From basically when we get to camp to when we leave. So you'll take care of food on the way out. And the only other exception to that is we'll eat as hiking teams out on Saturday night. So you're responsible for that meal when you'll eat together. So that's the overall.
You have group leaving Friday morning too?
What's that?
You have any groups leaving Friday morning too?
We don't right now. We don't right now. There's somebody, and I've got to solve this one too, somebody who right now wants to leave Thursday late afternoon. And so I thought we'd have more people, but there's, so we'll deal with that. So that's the general schedule. Food. I'm trying to think, anything do you have any questions about, we eat well. You need to know that. There'll be plenty of food. If you want to bring your own snacks, you can, but we eat really, really well.
You will gain weight.
It's like, if Thomas has anything to do with it,
You're
food did that. So in general, when we're there, we will have a couple small group times. We'll have 2 hiking times, one Saturday, one on Friday. And then you'll each be responsible. You'll be on a team that will work together. You'll be either responsible to help cook a meal or clean up after a meal. So we rotate teams to do the work. We have folks who are going to help kind of coordinate the effort, but we'll be doing that. So that's part of the schedule. Let's do real quick. Do you want to come up and help me do? We're going to walk through the gear list. Did you get one of these? So I'm going to have Thomas just kind of walk through this, and just so you're aware of what you need. I wish we would have had examples of stuff.
Because clothing is important, but we can talk about that. First thing, I do want to skip down to the Bible and journal. Take a journal. I know you'll have a Bible either on your phone or with you, but also take a journal. You're going to you will be afforded time to sit down and reflect in the majesty of the mountains, and it is really neat. I'm not a journal guy, but it is really neat to go back and look at what I've written down over the last couple of years. So I just encourage you to do that. Sleeping bag. There's a couple of things that you really don't want to skimp on between your sleep system, because if you don't have a good sleep system, you're going to have a bad night, and then you're going to have a bad morning and a bad afternoon. So.
And then a bad life.
And a bad life. Shut it down.
Where's the rest?
20 ways that we can do it.
Rick, that's the experience you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually will take
One leg.
a 0 degree. It's 20 degree, and the reason I take a 0 degree is because I just like to sleep in my skivvies, right? Now, a 20 degree, you are fine. When you see a sleeping bag that says 20 degrees, that is generally, the common standard out there is that is your low temperature that you can survive in. Okay, so at 20
Means you don't
degrees,
die.
you don't die in it. But if, in a 30 degree, in 30 degree weather, if you load up with a bunch of layers, you'll be fine. But I like a big sleeping bag, and so I take a 0 degree. 20 degree will work fine.
You can always cool off.
You can always, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can always
Yeah.
well. The second component of that, though,
Yeah.
is the best sleeping bags that are out there. A down sleeping bag. If you're sleeping on rock hard, sleeping on the ground, it's not only uncomfortable as far as on your back and your body, but you lose so much heat. So the second part of a sleeping system is your pad. And so that's one thing that I encourage you not to skip on. Get a pad that has an R value appropriate for the setting, and that's going to be a 4 or 5 R value. So just kind of think about those types of things.
Unless you're Mike Everett. and then
Well,
it's
I'm
like-
telling you what, man, I'm gonna tell you from the pimped out side of things, 20 degree bag is not warm enough. I had 3 layers.
It wasn't warm enough.
I had 3 layers on and I was freezing cold. Now, I'm an old guy and my circulation doesn't work the same as your young guys, so.
One thing that you can do, one thing that we lose a lot of heat from our heads. So sleeping bags are fine. You got to have a good sleeping pad. Get a good sleeping bag. Down works very, very well. But then take a stocking cap and put on your head. That will change your night. Okay. So just
If
be
you have a
aware.
mowing bag and you can,
You squeeze up. Just don't skimp
you
on
don't need
that
air.
side of it.
Just by the way, you don't need air. It's just.
Flashlight, headlamp becomes very useful because we do a lot of walking around at night, a lot of walking around in the morning to the bathrooms. So headlamp, there's inexpensive ones at Walmart that will work fine for you. Okay.
Watch out for Thomas's. It will.
I got one.
It's like
Yeah.
2,000 lumens or something.
Yeah, it is bright. We use it to look at
people on
a pocket knife, certainly something that I love knives, and you will find that you will need them out there. So just get something that you can take with you. Backpack, day pack. Now, a lot of different thoughts on this, especially if we will split up into groups, and there will be somebody that is kind of in charge of not necessarily leading the pace, but somebody that's coordinating that group, the kind of go-to person in that group. That person will probably, in the past, I've done that, and I've carried some extra stuff. But if you're not that person, you need a bag, and about 24, 25, 28 liter bag is probably enough. What you're going to want to do is be able to put your insulated layers in your bag. Well, actually, you'll probably start off with your insulation on, and then you'll take it off as you start going up. You need to have enough room for your water and a whole bunch of food. But somebody will have a first aid kit, and they may have a roll of duct tape for blisters, maybe extra socks, hats, and gloves, oxygen. So about 25 liters, somewhere in that range, is probably enough for you. I've taken a 35, and just because I love. And if you take something big, you're going to fill it up. When we did the 5 days here recently, I had a 24 liter, and I filled it up, and it was more than enough room for me. So.
Well, the other thing about that is you can make a big bag smaller. You can't make the small bag bigger.
True. The thing that you got to think about, and really, by the time you're 4 hours into walking up, you're thinking about, did I really need to pack that? Just be mindful of that. Hydration. When we went on our trip, here recently, I was not feeling well before I went. And then we got there, and I was out of shape in addition to everything else. The thing that I think saved me is that we had access to water through filtration. And I think back, and we always had a whole bunch of water with us. Okay? Don't underpack containers for water. Okay?
He's going to talk about hydration.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, okay. Several layers of clothing. He's not here, but Harris usually talks about cotton. Cotton kills in the mountains, it really does. I take cotton only to sleep in at night because you're not sweating. But if you think that you're going to go up there, you may get away with, yeah.
Well, I thought you said you didn't sleep in anything at night.
Cotton shorts. No, I will wear a t-shirt every now and again. But I will.
What's up my visuals?
You are not. Okay, that just tells you, pitch your tent way away from there. Just checking on you. Right? Listen, synthetic materials, very key. I will have a base layer short sleeve, a base layer long sleeve, and then a fleece half zip, and then I will have a wind jacket, wind rain jacket, and then I will have a, what do you call this, puff jackets?
Yeah,
Puff jackets.
synthetic or
Synthetic?
Yes.
A good wind and rain jacket will get you a long way. Okay, so pack one of those. And another thing that you don't want to skimp on is pack one of those, because you can get up there and the wind is 30 miles an hour and it's 30 degrees or 29. It's cold, but as long as you have blocked the wind and you have layers, you'll be okay. And especially with a hood. I remember when we went up Quandary, it was windy, and I was lucky enough to have a jacket that I had a hood, and it was blocking the side, because I remember you talking about, you didn't have that. You had a stocking cap, and it was cold, and he was losing heat. He's a big guy. I didn't have to help him too much. But no, he would.
You only piggybacked me for 3/4 hour. There's some visual.
But no, you block the wind, and that goes a long, long way, because your body's emitting a bunch of heat. And that goes down, let's talk about gloves. You want some thick gloves, but while you're hiking, also consider just having gloves that will block wind. And use those quite a bit, because you want something that's not going to make your hands sweat, but it's also nice to be able to wear gloves the whole time, because in fact, I still have, you slip and you fall, and if you just have gloves on, it's just protection. And so I just cheap work gloves that are thin, block the wind, and it saves some headaches for you, okay? I can't stress enough about chapstick. I know we've got sunblock, and everybody remembers that. Chapstick. If your lips get sunburned, you're going to have a bad time. Last year, my lips were sunburned. I was out there. I started out on Monday, and I was out there, and by the time everybody showed up, my lips were just swollen.
You kept asking to borrow something?
Yeah,
Nobody would give it.
Nobody.
my chapstick.
Yeah, but I gave you some.
Hey,
I'm serious. It is. You will ruin your lips out there. It's dry and the sun is intense. Okay. Bug spray. I can't speak to that too much, because by that time of year we don't have a whole lot of exposure to. But it's nice that somebody has some. So go to the bodega that Michael set up in the north corner of his tent. A ball cap and a stocking cap. Again, your stocking cap needs to be made for the weather. You want something that can breathe, but also as protection. You have protection. Wool was good. Cotton is bad. Wool is good. the wool will dry and retain its ability to keep you warm. Sturdy shoes. Colin took trail runners and did fine with those, even in adverse conditions on our trip here recently. Rick and I are more of the hiking boots. For me, a few extra ounces to get mid-top and have a little bit extra support, that goes a long way for me. Young guys, they don't think about it. And Colin was, he could, it just matters which mountains you get on, but some of these, you definitely don't want tennis shoes. There's a difference between trail runners and tennis shoes. The soles on trail runners are a lot thicker and sturdier and have a wider base. We had a situation last year where a son forgot his hiking boots, and the dad gave his hiking boots, and he took tennis shoes up the mountain, and it was miserable for the dad. And so,
The other thing is, one is the sole itself, but secondly is ankle support.
yeah.
I have boots just for that.
Yeah, you will, if you do the hikes, the mountain, you will probably roll your ankles several times. I mean, I roll it every year,
Yeah.
but there's a difference between rolling and twisting and laying. Hiking socks, couple 3 pairs of wool socks are very, very important. You can have cotton socks in the camp, but you don't want to have cotton or very thin socks when you're hiking. Goes to blisters and warmth and drying and all that. Yes.
I'll say something about that. If you do have problems with blisters at any point, it's good to have one of those liner socks
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
go inside the
Yep.
wool socks. And
Yeah.
so if you have any kind of space between your wool sock
Yeah.
and your foot, it's really good. It's helpful. I've used that, and
Yeah.
no blisters at all.
Yeah, there's,
So,
and once
liner socks are good.
blisters start, there will be somebody that has moleskin.
Yeah.
That's very good. I've used that, but there's also, to be honest with you, if you start feeling a hot spot, duct tape. I'm serious, just
Slap
slap
her on
duct
there.
tape on there. I also believe in zinc powder. I know it sounds weird, but zinc powder goes a long way in keeping things dry. It's what we rub on babies' butts, It keeps things dry, and it has an antibacterial.
It smells great.
Yeah. Just like a baby's butt, so, yeah.
Well, one thing about footwear, if you go out and buy a pair of boots that are like comfortable, walking around town, they'll kill you on the trail. You gotta break them in.
Gotta-
They may not be like really stiff boots and you notice it, but if you don't wear them routinely before the hike, you'll find blisters
Yeah,
eventually.
and it's not, because they're getting really good with boots anymore.
Right.
That they're kind of broken in, but our feet aren't prepared for it.
Right.
When's the last time you've worn ankle high?
Yeah.
So you've got to be aware that even if they're soft and they feel good, they will rub in areas that we're not used to. So just be aware of that. Sunglasses, I would suggest those that wrap around because the sun can be intense up there. Camping chairs, God gives us camping chairs, right, Colin? These guys, we're
They're not as
backpacking.
comfortable.
They had, no, that's true. These guys, they had camping chairs, and they would set it up, and here's how God works. They were super comfortable in their camping chairs, and I'm sitting there on either a rock or stumps, but the smoke from the fires
Never-
went to those guys. So they have to get up
Every
and move,
time.
and I'm sitting there in God's chair for me. And,
At least we can move our chairs.
yeah, I was stuck.
Yeah, it wasn't a 500-pound chair.
We had a good time. Again, Bible and journal, please, very important pieces of equipment. The travel mug is going to be important to you. I like to just take a small tin cups, but I just drink a little bit of coffee. For those of you that drink a lot of coffee,
On the thermal.
we saw that one. It was about 4 gallons.
Yeah, they're at the gas stations on the way.
Yeah. So, a large duffel helps keep things
Yeah.
together. It's not only convenient for you, but because we load up the trailer the night before, a lot of times it's nice for the people helping to load to throw everything together. And I'm talking about a lot of equipment, and this, not only in this room, but expanded out, the church body has a wealth of equipment. So please don't panic over any of that stuff. I've got a big green duffel bag that somebody can take. I've got equipment that people can take. Hiking tools. I don't generally like to hike. If I'm just doing one mountain, I don't generally like to hike with hiking poles, just because I don't know how to use them as well. Colin does. Colin is just, I mean, it's like they're an extra pair of legs for Colin. He uses them very, very well. But last year I went early, and by Saturday, coming down, that was my 7th mountain of the week, and my legs were hurting me, and I had a pair of hiking poles, and they saved my legs that day. So, especially going down.
Yeah.
So, I would at least take them and see, but you got to practice with them. Don't go buy them and then think that you're going to do well on the trail. Small towel and a washcloth. There is a lake there, and there is a Y, or whatever.
Shower facility.
I'll help you get to the Y. Don't worry about that.
$5 per
It's
shower?
$5 for a shower, fellas, I'm telling you.
It's pretty nice though.
Bring a couple of bucks. And
It's a great $5.
And if you but get a bigger towel, because if you wrap the towel, they will deliver pizza to you in the towel. Go ahead and.
or no towel.
Sleep system and layers and shoes. Sleep system, layers, and shoes. Very important portion of the enjoyment that you're going to
There's
have.
one thing that's not on this list that it's an optional item. I would take a roll or two of toilet paper.
It's a good idea.
I'm just telling you.
Or
Yeah.
wipes.
Yeah,
Or waves, yeah.
yeah, something that, I'm just telling you, because, we got 40 guys using 2 restrooms, and I'm telling you, it gets ugly sometimes.
And if you're on the mountain, there's these small animals called picus that you can use.
Yeah,
It's hard to catch it now.
A couple of years ago, Jason was, we
Oh, that was tough.
we pulled over because we had to take a whiz, and he started, he goes, whoa! 2's tied to 1. I gotta get down the mountain.
That's right.
Dead sprint.
Yeah. The fastest I've ever descended 14,000 feet.
2's tied to 1. I gotta get down.
Okay, any questions on any of that? Any questions? Okay, if you have gear needs, let me know. We can gather stuff if you need.
So just give it to you,
Sorry?
give stuff to you.
No, don't give stuff to me. If you need stuff,
Yeah.
let me know, and I will be communicating to gather.
You're saying you have stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll.
If you have things, why don't you email me if you have items?
Okay.
Don't email me the items.
Yeah.
That'd be a real trick.
Oh, but here's the thing, we're filming this because I know we went over some stuff and you may have some questions afterwards. We'll get this out, so not only for the people that aren't here, but as a reminder, we'll send out a link to the video, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Jake.
So, gear is important. It's expensive, and you don't have to. You can borrow.
Yeah.
Walmart's a good place to buy. Pretty reasonable stuff, So, but it really is. It'll make your experience better. For those of you who've not been there, expect 25-degree temperatures at night. It's going to be in the 20s.
And you're just sitting and you're outside. So think about the last time you sat outside for 6 hours and in 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
It feels totally different than walking through your
Daytimes are
car.
likely to be in the 60s and 70s, and then if you're going to summit, if you're going to try to do a 14er, it's going to be a lot colder up there. Wind chills are probably going to be in the 20s and low teens. So
I
But anyway,
didn't
just-
mention rain pants because rain or wind pants. I like to hike in shorts. Rick hikes in shorts.
to have rain pants.
But you have them in your pack because that's another thing.
So here it's going to be 96 degrees today. Okay. I mean, in September when we leave, it'll probably be 85, 90 degrees. And so it's just, we're not prepared, but it's going to be cold, and that's the most important thing. So sleeping bag and clothing, bring layers.
But it's a dry cold.
It's-
We had snow last year.
Yeah.
When we went out to the hiking.
Yeah, it could be. So I'm gonna ask Colin to come up, just real quick, I'm gonna have him do some stuff on just preparation physically and then also for hydration on the trip. So Colin, you wanna?
All right, so I'll bring this up. This is, they call this the Mountaineering Bible. So this is where I was getting most of my information from in terms of hydration and fitness. So when you think about fitness, there's a couple different body systems that are important to think about. One is your cardiovascular system, and your other is your muscles. So you can train both through some sort of training plan, and so you kind of think about like the frequency of your training, the intensity of your training, and the type of your training, and how long each training session is. And so one thing to think about is if you're planning on doing a 14er, you're going to be on your feet for hours. Think about the last time that you were on your feet for hours. If you work a job that you're on your feet for hours, that's not going to be a surprise. But if you sit down most of the day, your feet are going to hurt. And then if you're walking that whole day, your feet are going to hurt. So as you're thinking about, we've got, a month until we leave, ramping up week by week the amount of activity you're doing and ramping up the amount of time that you're on your feet is going to make the mountain hiking experience that much more enjoyable. The worst thing you can do is say, oh, I'll be fine, or oh, I'll just suck it up when I get there, because then you're going to hate the entire experience on the mountain, and then it like steals the whole joy of actually hiking. Like you want to be in a place physically that you can pace yourself and enjoy it. You get to the peak and you're like, I am so glad that I'm here. But how terrible would it be if you're just like, you can't even stand up, or your legs are giving out and you don't know how you're going to make it back down. So think about over the next 4 weeks, where are you currently in your conditioning level, and how can you make baby steps of progress? So maybe you're taking the elevator at work. Start taking the stairs 2 days this week, then next week 3 days, then the next week 4 days, and then that last week every day take the stairs. Another exercise that's really good so if you're thinking about hiking, as men, when we think about working out, we normally think about working out from here up, and here down is what actually needs to be strong for hiking, and your back. So good exercises you can do at home are just body weight squats, or put on a backpack and do body weight squats, and then lunges with weight on, and you can just alternate. And so this is another thing. Say you're watching TV at night. Do 10 minutes of this. Great. Wait a day. Do 15 minutes of that. And so you're just ramping up the amount of activity you're doing. Or start out with 2 minutes. You guys
You're insane. Who is this guy, Rick? Where did this guy come from?
Okay, you were here last year.
Oh, okay.
Jason, he's like in his 20s and he weighs like $130.
Who watched it for 15 minutes? God, I wouldn't be able to work for a week.
15 seconds at a time. Ramp it up. One of the things, so Jake mentioned this, on the descent is where you're probably going to feel the most amount of muscle pain, and that's called the eccentric motion, where you are like decompressing. So that's the downward motion. So if you're at home and you have stairs in your house, if you go to the second stair, toss on a backpack and just step down, and then go back up and step down, and do that repeatedly. You're going to feel a lot better when you're on the mountain, because that's where, if any of you guys have dealt with tendonitis in your knees, I do, that's where I hurt, is when I'm on the downhill, which is why I swear by the trekking poles, because that can pick up some of the weight as you're moving down so that your knees don't have to. So those are some quick tips on
Don't skip, don't not hear what he's saying on the eccentric side.
Yeah.
Because too many times we work on the concentric, the Like if you're, I've shown this in a video, the curls, that's a concentric, okay? But the eccentric side is what he's talking about, because that is the killer. That will make you laid up in camp after this trip. That is, and so focus on going down slow. Because
So-
yeah,
On a squat, normally you think of exploding from here up.
yes.
But for those of you who want to give me a hard time, while you're watching TV tonight, put on a backpack and then just sit down. And then get back up. And then sit down.
Yeah.
And that works that eccentric motion of moving down, and that's going to get your quads in a place that can really do it. And then that way, it doesn't feel so bad. And if you're watching TV, it's a little easier. Okay, so hydration is really important. There's
Don't miss just even walking.
Yeah.
Just walking, jogging, biking.
Yeah, so I just talked
that's
about
the-
muscle. I
right,
didn't talk about all
the
about
cardio
the
side,
cardio
yeah,
side.
just-
Yeah.
You need to be moving, you gotta get out and get some miles in, just walking and time on your feet.
Yep, time on your feet. Stairs are good. Going out to Clinton Lake, you get some rolling hills.
Colin does something else, and I believe in it as well. Is there's steady state cardio where you get out and you walk at a fast pace, or you run at a consistent pace, and that's a steady state where you're working your entire system. But there's also, when you're in the mountains, you call them hill repeats, I call sprints or high intensity interval training, and what that helps, if you were going to go into it, that helps with that recovery side, because you get good at processing the oxygen with the steady state, but part of living when you're on the mountain is recovery, because you'll take 15 steps and need to take a breath, and the quicker you can recover, that's where his hill repeats. He's very good at combining both steady state and high intensity stuff.
So the steady state is aerobic. The high intensity is anaerobic. And so one has oxygen, the other doesn't. So once you push your body to where you're using more oxygen than you can take in is when you go anaerobic, and that's through high intensity. And where the oxygen levels are lower, you're going to hit that anaerobic state quicker. So if you can train that anaerobic state while you're here, when you're in Colorado, you're going to do much better. Is that helpful to?
Yeah, does that make
It's like
sense?
when you sit up in the morning up there and you say, "Oh, I feel the burn." Like when I'm getting out of bed.
Yeah. So practice sitting up quicker, and you'll be good. Okay, so hydration. On the packing list, there's 3 32-ounce bottles listed. That's a great idea. The book suggests that for every 20 to 30 minutes of activity, you are drinking a cup to a cup and a half. That's more than I drink. But if you expand that out, so a cup being 8 ounces every 30 minutes means that you need 16 ounces for every hour that you're going to be hiking. And so even as you're training over the next 4 weeks and you're getting out, kind of guesstimate, like a Nalgene bottle is great because it has the measurements on it. So you can see, oh, I've now had 4 ounces, I've now had 8 ounces, and so you can kind of track your intake even as you're training. And then as you start out training, if you fill up 3 32-ounce bottles, well, there you've got your pack weight.
Yeah.
So that helps. We're going to be thinking through that. Because of dehydration, one thing to think about as we're going into the mountains, Kim isn't here to talk about it, but one of the symptoms that you're probably going to experience is not acute mountain sickness, but it's like the lesser of the two. If you get to acute mountain sickness, that's bad. We don't like that. But there's symptoms leading up to it that are like nausea. You've lost your appetite. You even lose your desire to drink water. You can start getting dizzy or delirious. You can start having hallucinations. We don't want that, and one of the best ways that we can really control that is being hydrated. being dehydrated means that your blood is more gummy, it's moving slower, and so it's not delivering oxygen to your brain and your muscles the way it needs to. So the more hydrated you are, the more your blood can flow and get oxygen to the things that need it.
Does Kim have a handout that we can email to everybody? I want to say.
He did last year,
He
didn't
did.
He did.
Find out if he's got one. That'd be a really great
I'll get that.
email to everybody.
I was gonna say something too, being a healthcare professional.
Yes.
On the way out, try to avoid caffeinated drinks. It's
Yes.
very helpful to avoid
They dehydrate.
all caffeinated drinks on the way out for lunch. Try to avoid that, I think, and just instead replace that with water.
And hydration starts weeks in advance.
It does.
So understand that you can't just get there and go, oh, crud, I forgot to worry about water.
And the week leading up to it, you'll be getting emails from me telling you to hydrate.
Start hydrating.
One recommendation I have is if you're doing a hydration pack, don't neglect taking an extra bottle as well, because you can't keep an eye on how much you have. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
It's nice to have an extra liter.
Yep.
of
What I
spare.
do is I carry a 1.5 liter bladder, but then I have another 1 liter bottle. So when I get to the summit, I take out the bladder and I see, oh, I only drank half a liter. Wow, I need to be drinking more. Or, oh, I had a whole 1.5 liters. Now I only have 1 liter to make it back to camp. So then I can kind of like gauge.
If you get up there and you're out, you're out.
Then you're SOL and you need someone else's water.
Or lay down and have them pile the rocks on.
Yes.
And
Where's
you
the
know,
water
I know you have to balance weight with what you take with you, but I've never regretted taking too much water. And if I didn't use it, there was always somebody around
Yep.
who either had a bladder failure, water, not the.
Not the,
When you're an older guy, that has a different meaning. I'll tell you.
Depends.
But, you know, there will be a need that you can help
Yeah.
satisfy.
Yeah.
And then you have to balance, you know, how much, I mean, you don't want to take a 55-gallon drum on your back, you know, I mean, that's 800 or 400 pounds. But the point being is I've never regretted taking too much, you know. And
Yeah,
that
last
might-
year I ended up giving a whole water bottle
Yeah,
to someone
exactly.
else who needed it.
Yeah.
So, whoever is leading the teams for the hikes should have extra water,
Yeah.
that you can help them out.
Well, and it's interesting too, because when you're, depending on, you know, how dry it is out there, you'll sweat it off and you may not even know it. I mean, in a lot of ways, you'll be sweating, well, pigs don't sweat. You'll sweat a lot and you won't really know it.
Yeah, because of
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You even lose it as you breathe. You lose
yeah, exactly.
water,
So
and
it-
especially when it's cold, you're losing water quicker
Yeah.
than you realize. But
And we'll have plenty of water there, there'll be a spigot and everything, so.
yeah, you have no excuse. You don't have to pump the water. You have to pump it, then
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know if I want water today.
Okay, real quick, I'm gonna land the plane here. Thank you, Thomas, thanks, Colin, they helped us. Both of those things are really important here, and as well as physically, you guys need to be doing something physically to get ready. It'll make your experience that much better. Okay, so this year, there's gonna probably be 4 different hikes available. So in terms of tiers or intensity, we're looking at a 5-mile hike with about a 1,500 feet of ascent, 5-mile round trip, so up to a mountain called Boot Creek Falls. And so there'll be one that's available. It's not difficult, but it's not easy either. It's a pretty good hike. So beautiful hike. The other one, the guys who did Mesa Cortina last year? Some of the guys did Mesa Cortina. What's that?
I think I did it 3 times.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, but anyway, that's about a 9.5 or 10-mile
Yeah.
hike with about 1,500 or 1,600 feet of.
Yeah, it's not real, I don't know if it's even 1,500.
But it is a beautiful hike. So there'll be another one. So it's a little more challenging because of the
through a
distance.
large-
It's-
A moderate, it would be a super moderate,
Yeah.
hike, and it is a ball.
Yeah.
It
To
is
a-
so
large
relaxed.
aspen grove of second growth, so it's
Yeah,
some pretty big trees. you know,
Yeah.
So anyway, that'll be another one. And then there'll be probably a couple 14ers. That guys, there'll be one that's close by that if guys haven't done, i.e. one called Quandary. And so, and then we'll, for those who've done Quandary, we're looking at driving a little bit further down towards Leadville. And so, and I haven't decided on that. I was just talking with Dave. There's a group of them there. Elford, Missouri Mountain, Oxford. We might do one of those. So anyway, so the question that you'll need to answer for me, and I'm changing it this year because I'm not going to make you answer until the day before we hike it.
You don't want to get a whole list and.
You want me to send a picture if I get out there early and tell everybody what amazing something is?
Sure, that'd be great. There was a mutiny last year, and
There sure was.
I did
Oh,
not mean to
man.
cause that.
but which was beautiful. I love it. I love what happened. So, but anyway, but you'll need to decide what you're going to do. And the prep hike we're going to do on Friday will give you an idea of if you want to do a 14er or not. So if you haven't done a 14er, it's awesome, but it's also very hard. They're very, very difficult. And so,
Snow.
snow, wind, the weather is likely to be pretty gnarly. So anyway, so you'll let me know that, which of those hikes that you'll do in terms of intensity, and we'll hike in groups. That's kind of the plan that we'll do on Saturday. So Friday's prep hike, it's a pretty relaxed, chill day. We'll get up, have breakfast. We'll hike up, it's called Shrine Ridge Pass. It's an absolutely gorgeous place.
Yeah.
But we hike from about 10,000 or 10,500 to close to 12, 11,900, something like that. So we have some ascent. We'll also get some experience you're up a little ways. But it is beautiful. We'll do lunch up there, come back down, have the afternoon to chill. Anyway, so that is Saturday morning, depending on which hike you're doing, you will leave. What did we leave at 4:30 last year, a.m.
Before dawn.
So, but if not, you can if you do Mesa.
Yeah, the
Cortina-
Mesa Cortina, those guys leave at like 4:30. We left at 8:15. We were on the mountain by 8:30 and
So, yeah,
back by
It's nice and
like
close.
2.
Nice and close. So we did that.
I didn't get there till 4.
Okay, transportation. So we rent cars and we drive out together. I need drivers, so look for emails. I see that hand. I'll be emailing you. Actually, let me ask the question out. Could anybody know that they could pick up a car on Wednesday afternoon? Be available to do that Wednesday afternoon. Okay, you can drive. Okay, I'll be in touch with you. Anybody else?
Well, I can help pick them up even though I'm driving.
Yeah, I need the
You need the
driver.
actual driver.
I need the actual
Got
driver.
it.
So Jason.
I could probably do it.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay.
Well, is
you're-
going out early a
Yeah.
problem for you?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
It depends on who else does what.
Okay.
Which is, everything keeps kind of moving on that. So transportation,
Very
do that. So location, we'll go to Dillon, some of you know that.
Mhm.
Dillon camped by, we have Wi-Fi, or not Wi-Fi, but we have cell signal there. We have good service. So
I don't know what Isaac's schedule is that day, but you can check with him if he's off early, then you can come in and help.
Potentially,
Maybe
okay.
the driver's up.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to him.
I know he doesn't know how. He would be fast.
I will be emailing everyone. Please check please respond to my emails as soon as you can. Okay? Otherwise I get a little insecure. But I'll be sending emails related to driving, and then also the other is gear you have. So tents is the other thing that we'll be making a count of to make sure we have enough tents to put people in. So let me know and we'll get that going.
Well, you can get 10 or 12 in Mike's.
Oh, no, you didn't. There's only room for one.
You're not, nobody else is on the list.
Okay. And then finally, I'll be also emailing related to if you have medical conditions like epilepsy, like asthma, that will affect you. That will be important for us to know that. Kim Grubbs is going. He is a nurse, an EMT, all things medical, and so he'll be helping, but it'll be important just to know if there's particular medical conditions you have, so. And anybody else have medical experience? So besides,
I'm a pharmacist, I'll be.
oh, yeah, that's good, that's good.
Oh,
Pharmacist.
My drug man.
What he's bringing.
I usually go wherever you go.
I played on the television. So.
Mainly this Tylenol PM.
Okay. Any questions? Look for my emails. Plan when we're leaving that morning.
It's
If
later
some-
this year,
It's later, yeah.
probably the peak of aspen color in that area.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It was
beautiful.
great last year.
Yeah,
too.
it's gonna be
better.
beautiful.
Snow often that week starts to come in, so it's quite beautiful,
Yeah, it's
unbelievable scenery.
yeah, it's great, so. Anyway. Let's pray. Father, thanks for the opportunity we have to do this. This is what a great blessing, one, the creation that you give to us, and the second, that we get to go. We get to be a part of it, we get to do this together. And so we submit this to you. We confess that there's lots of things we plan, but there's so much that we can't plan. And so for those things, we entrust to you and ask that you would coordinate all the details, the weather, and the transportation, and the relationships, and all those things in our lives. That you would hold us together, the guys that you want there would be there, that the weather you give us we would receive, and that you would bless this time. So we trust that you would do that. Thanks for these guys, for their involvement in this and be participating, and I'm grateful again for the privilege in Jesus' name. Amen. I haven't said this, but we're around 40 guys now. Just over 40 guys going. So this is really just a small cross section of the total number that'll be there. And so you can imagine, it's communication and coordination is huge to try to take care of that many people. So please respond as you are able. And when we get there, the other thing, I just invite every guy to recognize that we're not just there for ourselves. Okay, so we want to have a good time and all that, but we're there to serve and to care for each other. And so it's an opportunity with 40 guys trying to make this thing work to do that. And so just come with that attitude, with a servant's heart, ready to receive what you can and to give what you can, and just trust the God will use that. So that really is an important attitude.